Today, we're doing a tech review. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, guys? I hope you're safe and healthy. I, for one, find myself looking for more content to consume than ever before. So I figured I'm just gonna keep making content for you guys as much as I possibly can. Now, like I said, I am doing something a little different today. I'm actually not reviewing a running shoe. I know. Don't worry, guys. I'll get back to the shoes as soon as possible, but I think you might want to know about this little gadget that I've been using. So today, I'm actually reviewing a watch, and it is the Polar Vantage M. Now, full disclaimer, I'm not exactly a techie or a tech guru or tech savvy or anything like that. I need technology to be easy and simple and foolproof. But Polar reached out and asked if I wanted to do an unbiased review of the Vantage M, and I said, why not? Let's give it a shot. If you're looking for something that's gonna go through every single spec and feature and all that kind of stuff about the watch, then you might want to go to DC Rainmaker's YouTube page. Because today I'm going to talk about the features that worked for me, that I actually used, and what just didn't work for me. So we're going to get into it right now. I guess I'm going to hold this watch up like I hold the shoes up the whole time. Like this. Like this. So when I first took this watch out of the box, I immediately really liked the way it looked. The design is sleek. I dig the all white look. It's a bit sharper looking than my Garmin 935 XT, I'll admit. Oh yeah, and let me just mention that up until using this watch, I've pretty much been a Garmin girl for years. That was my first real GPS watch, and I've been using them ever since. So this was my first step outside of the Garmin box. So back to the Vantage M. It's a really nice looking watch, and Garmin makes it pretty easy to switch out these bands and get different colored ones if you want to customize it a bit. I happen to like the all white, like I said, so I didn't find that necessary. Now, a couple of things that I noticed right off the bat. The charging port is supposed to cling to the back of the watch, but it doesn't really hold on too well. I noticed it's not something that you can just like plug in and insert into the back. It kind of holds on to the back, and it's not exactly gripped in there really tight. So if you bang into this watch while it's on the charger, it might fall off. So just make sure it's in a secure space that's not gonna get banged around, that won't cause you any problems, because there's nothing worse than going to put on your watch for a run and it's not charged at all. But once it's charged, this watch will stay on for days. Oh yeah, and I mean days, because you wanna know something? You can't turn this watch off. It physically does not turn off. It does get kind of annoying when the watch is connected to Bluetooth and it's constantly buzzing with Instagram notifications and this and that and the other thing. But I mean, hey, the battery life is so far unmatched to anything else I tried, and that is including the 935 XT from Garmin. I'm sure I could just turn off the Bluetooth whenever I'm not using the watch, that it's not constantly buzzing, but I'm too lazy, so I just kind of deal with it. In terms of setting up the watch, it was fairly simple, but I did run into a couple little things that I want to mention. I did have some issues initially getting this to sync with Strava. After some troubleshooting, I did get it to work, so it could have absolutely been user error. But again, I want something simple that isn't going to make me scratch my head and pull my hair out. Another interesting thing that I discovered when I finally got this to connect with Strava is that the paces in Polar Flow are a little bit slower than they are in Strava. Strava is a couple seconds faster for each split. Now, I'm not gonna blame Polar for that, because I have seen that with Strava before in other watches that I've used, but with this watch, it seems to be a little more so. I mean, if you wanna say I'm faster, say I'm faster. See if I care. So when I'm running, I do find the data on the face of the watch to be really useful, and it's customizable. You can go right into the Polar Flow app and pick which data you want to see on the face of the watch while you're running, and it'll sync automatically to the watch. So I have duration, pace, distance, and power. I had heart rate, but since I've been trying out the Stride Pod, I wanted to put the power on there and kind of see how that works. One thing that I do wish is that the face of the watch was a little easier to read while you're running. I've noticed that I'll be trying to look down at my watch and see kind of like what's going on, and I'm having trouble really focusing in on what I'm looking at. And it's because the face is a little dark and that light behind the screen really doesn't do it for me. Now, another small issue that I had is sometimes when I was running and wanted to pause the workout for whatever reason, maybe to get B-roll or to pant on the side of the road, I noticed that I would hit that pause button and it wouldn't pause. Sometimes I would notice that right away and just hit pause again and it would actually pause. Or I wouldn't notice that and then I'd look down at my watch while I was on the side of the road and notice that it was still going. That's not something that's happened to me with other watches unless I've just physically forgotten to pause it. This watch is also not a touch screen, so if you're looking for that in a watch, this is not gonna be for you, but I don't need a touch screen, and I think it honestly doesn't really work that well when you're sweaty anyway. So I actually like that it is not a touch screen, and I'm glad that we're just keeping it simple and using buttons. So let's talk about the app Polar Flow that connects to the watch. So you're out running, finish your workout, you save it, you open your phone, you open the Polar app, and then you hit that bottom left button on the watch and hold it down and your workout will sync to the Polar Flow app. Now in my Garmin 935 XT, the second that I save the workout on my watch, it will automatically sync to Garmin Connect and to Strava. So this is a little bit of an extra step, but it's really not that big of a deal. I mean, what is it, one click of your thumb? Like, I think everybody will survive. The Polar Flow app shows you all the data you could possibly ask for. I'll be honest, I never really used to pay attention to heart rate, but since Polar is top of the line when it comes to heart rate and that's what they're known for, then I was like, all right, maybe I'll just give this a little bit of a closer look, especially when reviewing the Vantage M. Polar is using something called Precision Prime Heart Rate, which is apparently the only wrist-based heart solution on the market, which uses both LED lights to penetrate the skin and muscle tissues better, and bioimpedance technology, which measures electrical currents, I think. I am not a scientist. Anyway, because this is apparently so accurate, I paid a little more attention to heart rate. When my pace was fast and my heart rate was lower, I found myself really excited. And when my heart rate was high and my pace was high or low, I found myself pretty frustrated. I also paid a lot of attention to the heart rate zones. It's a fun game to play to guess which heart rate zone you're gonna be in for what workout, depending on how you're feeling during it. So 5 would be like the hardest effort and you're really pushing your body, and 1 would be the lowest. Again, I'm really not a heart rate guru, that's more Kofuzi's lane, but for the average gal who's just trying to run and not kill her body while doing so, I found all this pretty interesting. Another cool thing about the Polar Flow app is this section called Training Load Pro. Basically, it separates cardio load, muscle load, and perceived load. Training Load Pro will also tell you if you're overtraining, undertraining, or maintaining fitness. So I listen to that. I do take all of that stuff with a grain of salt because I try to go by how my body is feeling and not by what technology is telling me, but it's still really interesting to look at and to consider. There are also more profiles on Polar Flow than you could imagine. You can go from being a runner to beach volleyball to hiking. It's insane. So really, this watch has something for everyone. Overall, I really did enjoy the Polar Vantage M. There was a slight learning curve going from Polar to Garmin, but once I figured it out, it's been pretty smooth sailing. I think I'll continue to use the watch. I definitely think I'm gonna be switching up between my Garmin 935 XT and the Vantage M, but I definitely recommend this to anyone looking for a solid running watch with tons of interesting data. And I especially recommend this to anybody who's interested in heart rate because it is no secret on the market that Polar is the lead in the industry on heart rate. On Polar's website, the Vantage M is $279.95 US, which is honestly not too bad. I think my Garmin watch was way more money. Boom! Well guys, that concludes my review of the Polar Vantage M. My first tech review. Hopefully you guys don't give me too much hate for it. I did my best. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit that notifications bell down below so you can find out every time I upload a new video. I have another video for you guys next week, but in the meantime, get out there. Only if it's socially distanced, and I'm not kidding, I'm watching you guys. Get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. See you next time. Vantage! It's 11:42.